It's off to Mccaffrey. There he goes. It's a C-Mac attack. McCaffrey, what man to beat?
This is Desmond Johnson on the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast, here on the Bleav Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. Do you Bleav? If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and rate the show on iTunes. We're available in your favorite directories: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Luminary, and TuneIn. You can also find us at Bleav.com and at Bleav Podcast on Twitter.
And welcome into a brand new edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Panthers running back great Jonathan Stewart and Sports Illustrated Schuyler Callihan. You can follow all of us on Twitter. We'll give our Twitter handles and everything a little bit later on in the show. Guys, we are here. Week 1 has arrived in the NFL. We've got games all over the place starting Thursday night. Of course, our beloved Panthers playing Sunday at the Vault, Bank of America Stadium, 1 p.m., welcoming in our new starting quarterback, Baker Mayfield's old team, the Cleveland Browns. That game, if I'm not mistaken, is on Fox. I'll double check that before we get off of here. So we got that coming up. We're gonna preview that matchup there. In this episode, we're also going to do our Wild Carolina Panther predictions. We did our Wild NFL predictions last week. Actually got some feedback from some members of the Bleav team on some of the stuff that we had mentioned out there, so we'll address that as well. And Fact or Fiction, there's a number of different storylines going on across the NFL. We'll touch on some of those. Schuyler and Stu will give you their opinion on whether or not the stuff I pulled out will be fact by the end of the season or will be fiction by the end of the season. Before we get into all that, of course, we got to get a word in from our sponsors over at Bet Online. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head over to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use the promo code BLEAV50, that's BLEAV50, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts, and where we start today on this special edition of the Bleav in Carolina Panthers podcast. Before we even get into that, I should a programming note. Starting next week, you'll start getting 2 of these each week. One towards the beginning of the week, where the 3 of us will recap the previous game. So we'll recap Panthers versus Browns. And then towards the end of the week, you'll get a preview of the upcoming game that weekend. So more content for everybody, Carolina Panther fans of the Bleav podcast network. We welcome everyone on board. I was eating lunch and I wanted to do fact or fiction. We've done this. Me and Schuyler have done this a couple of times before, where I'll go and pull a couple of different things that have been like the topic of talking heads all over in this long off season. And we're just going to knock them all out, as much as we can. And I'm going to set the mood. I'm going to pull a little music on and we're going to answer them. A little music in the back. Okay. So Stu, I'm going to start off with you. Fact or fiction, Tom Brady will play the entire 2022 NFL season.
Facts.
I don't know. It seems like more's coming out about this whole Tom Brady. I don't want to get in my man's business, with his marriage or whatever, but it feels like after time, that's going to wear him down. It feels like he looks like he's worn down now. Like,
I don't see Tom Brady's legacy being to where, I'm not playing the rest of the season or I'm missing this game because of my marriage issues.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening.
I'm hoping that
there's just too much that has happened in his greatness of legacy. So
turn it beat down. It's way too happy. But yeah, I'm hoping it results in a bad up and down season for Tampa Bay. Like, I don't want to wish, you know what I mean? I don't want to wish like bad things on Tom Brady's family or whatever. But if it means Tampa Bay going 7-10 or whatever, okay.
Yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah,
I'm all for it, man. Listen. Now that we're talking that way, I don't want to wish harm on nobody. You want their marriage to flourish.
Yeah.
Obviously, for their kids and their well-being. But if your wife says stay home, just stay home.
I mean, the thing, we talked about this the other day. I don't understand. The dude signed a $300 million broadcast deal before he decided to come back. Like he's going to make more money on his broadcast deal than he's had on any contract he had playing. Like you already have 7 rings. I
don't
about
know. The money. None of this is about the money for him.
Yeah, I think he wants to ride off in the sunset, like John Elway style, with a crowd. Because when he won it in 2020, it was in Tampa. It was a home Super Bowl, but there was no fans. We were in the middle of COVID, so I think that's the reason why he's still playing. If he could have did that in front of a crowd, he probably would have been. I think so.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Let's see. Tom kind of likes the position. You can tell he likes the position of where he is basically the GOAT. That's pretty much what everybody's calling him at this point. He's well aware of it. So we'll see how it goes from there. Schuyler Callihan, Fact or Fiction. The 2 Super Bowl participants last year, the Los Angeles Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. Neither the Rams or the Bengals will return to the Super Bowl this year. Fact or Fiction?
Fact. I don't buy into the Rams getting back. In fact, I think the Bengals probably have a better chance, and that's saying a lot considering how tough the AFC is. But I just think the Rams, like, it was kind of – I wouldn't say it was a fluke, but Matthew Stafford needs a lot of help and needs a lot of things to go right. He's a good quarterback, but I think he needs a lot to go right. And I don't even think they're the best team in that division this year. I think San Francisco – regardless of who's quarterback, that team is built to win now. So I would have to say, neither team's getting back.
I agree. I think that's fact. Usually, if you look back, Super Bowl participants, usually one of the 2 teams kind of falls. The Super Bowl hangover or whatever they want to call it. That typically happens. Usually, don't see both teams fall like that. But in this situation, I agree. I think. I'm not sure if the Rams are the best team in the NFC West. I agree. I think San Francisco is pretty stacked in terms of what they have. And depending on how Trey Lance plays, I thought it was really cool that Jimmy G decided to stay and back up Trey Lance, because now you basically have 2 starters in case something happens to Trey or, he's just not playing well. You already know what you're getting from Jimmy G. So I think it was a good move for them. Plus, it felt like nobody really wanted Jimmy G or didn't want to pay for Jimmy G. So kind of worked out.
I think that was a lot of people ain't going to pay for him. I think that's what made his decision to stay a lot better.
Yeah, it made it a lot easier probably for him too. I think he was owed like $18 million. Just same deal as Sam Darnold. So kind of the same situation. Stu, we're staying in the AFC. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin will have his first sub 500 season this year. Fact or fiction?
I hate to say it, man, but fact. Fact. They just named their starter Trubisky. I'm not a believer in him. I'm sure he's a great guy, but when I see him, when I look at his profile picture, just based off of that, I don't believe him. I don't believe him to be a leader.
Whoa, wait, hold on. You don't trust him off his profile picture?
Yeah, just off the profile picture, man. And then, just given they got an uphill battle, even on the Steelers secondary right now. I don't really know what's going on there in that department. The brightest spot obviously is the running back position, and I feel like he has, a foot issue coming out of training camp. I don't know, man.
It's a tough division too.
Tough division.
Like left on that dude's profile
pic.
Swipe left.
Yep. I mean, you got the Bengals who just went to the Super Bowl. You got the Baltimore Ravens, who I think is a sneaky pick in the AFC. People forget half their team was on IR last year, and they still,
and they were still out there playing. Well-coached team.
Lamar's.
There's a whole culture mindset in that division.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh's one of those teams where you expect them to come out and play football. And I think this year might be the first year that Mike Tomlin is going to have a bunch of bums on his team.
It's amazing that he's had it's amazing that he's had this long of a stretch without a sub 500 year. I mean, usually in the NFL, it's almost unheard of to do something like this. And for him to come in and do this in Pittsburgh. Plus, we've talked about the Cleveland Browns in terms of, them not having Baker Mayfield anymore, but we haven't really touched on the fact that they might have the most talent on paper and the whole roster than the other three teams in that division. So, I mean, that's a wide open division. I could see Pittsburgh not finishing over 500. Then again, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they do. I mean, just pulling it together. Like, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he figures out a way to do this. Shout out to Kenny Pickett. I'm hoping that he's going to get a chance to show what he can do.
That would be the reason why they win games, is if they, at some point in the first 4 games, figure out that Trubisky ain't got it. And,
it's going to happen sooner than later, I think. I think you nailed that, because I'm a Carolina fan, and I would agree that I don't trust Trubisky either. So we'll see how they do there. Fact or fiction, Schuyler? This will be Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers' last season. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. He signed that long extension. I don't know that he's going to play all the way through it, but I think he's going to get at least 2 more years, maybe 3. And to be honest with you, I don't know that this is a bold prediction, or maybe this isn't the right time to talk about it, but I don't think the Packers win that division either. So I think he's going to sneak in as a wild card, and he's going to be ticked about it. So I don't think that he would want to go out not winning that division, especially how much he talks about owning everybody in that division. So,
Schuyler, why is it so hard for him to win playoff games?
He keeps playing San Francisco. That's one. Every time you see the 49ers, don't matter if it's home, away. It's just it's like kryptonite or something for the dude.
It's a weird thing, man. Like, you would think by now he's a guy that's talented enough. He should have at least 3 rings, without a doubt. And he and Peyton Manning are kind of in the same, we're in the same situation. Like, Peyton would have all these unbelievable regular seasons, get to the playoffs, and they just couldn't get there. And I think it's kind of the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. Like, he just, for whatever reason, he just can't get over the hump. And it's not like he plays well and his team just doesn't help him out. Like, he hasn't played well in some of these playoff games.
Yes. Yeah, that's been the shocking thing when you see, especially like last year, them losing to 49ers at Lambeau in January, like in the playoffs. It was just like the Packers were the 1 seed, weren't they, last year? Yeah, they were the 1 seed going into the playoffs, and they lost that opening divisional round game to the 49ers. I think because of that, the Packers haven't been to the Super Bowl since 2010. I mean, it's been 12 years. So, like, I think I picked the Packers to win games, but then in the playoffs, I never pick them to get to the Super Bowl. Just feels like they're always missing something that year once they get to the playoffs, whether it's a running game or whatever. The offensive line is banged up. There's always something with the Packers when they get to the playoffs. So, okay. So this is not going to be Aaron Rodgers last year. Fact or fiction, Stu? AFC West will have 3 teams in the playoffs. Fact or fiction? So we're talking Los Angeles Chargers.
I think
Raiders.
Facts. I say facts.
Who would you say those 3 would be?
I would say the Raiders, just from the standpoint alone. I feel like they have a new brand home that they have, become accustomed to. A lot of money in that team. I think Carr is going to break out that season. What year was that? 17 maybe? 2016 when he was going crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to have Devontae Adams back there, his passing buddy. I think that chemistry is going to do wonders for that team. And then obviously you have Renfro out there being, very, reliant. So I don't know, man. I just feel like, just the Raiders alone gives that whole opportunity a fact.
The Raiders seem to be like the darling pick of the media. I see a lot of talking that's kind of picking the Raiders, and I see a lot of people kind of dumping on the Chiefs. And I'm just kind of like, the Chiefs haven't really given us reason to believe they can't keep winning yet. Although I do believe in 4-year windows in the NFL, and they're creeping towards the end of that 4th year right now. That's a loaded division. Like, I'm sitting here trying to figure out who would go. Denver just gave Russell Wilson, almost $250 million to stay for
they're not going to be good next year, though.
Yeah, I'm looking at them, and I'm just like, compared to like the Chargers look like they might be able to do something right now.
I like the Chargers.
Yeah.
See, if you look at that quarterback profile, looks like a winner.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if they can get off to a good start, I think that they'll be pretty good. They barely missed the playoffs last year. So Justin Herbert, keep an eye on him and the Chargers. Schuyler, the New England Patriots will win 10 games this year. Fact or fiction?
Oh, I'm going to go fiction. And I think a lot of it has to do with the Jets being better, which no one believes, but I promise you they're going to be a much better team.
Yeah, I don't believe
it.
I just don't believe it.
What's their record? So, Schuyler, what's the Jets' record going to be this year?
Yeah.
Oh, man, now you put me on the spot.
I mean, because better could be like 5 and
I'll say a very competitive 6-11.
All right.
So it's
that's how bad the Jets are.
That's better.
When he said that they were going to be better, that's how much better they're going to be. A losing team still.
Losing but respected. Losing but respectable.
I need a horn. I need a horn for something like that, where it's just like a ridiculous comment that we have to live up
to. There we go. They'll be this close to 8 and 9. I think they'll lose a couple close games.
Okay.
But they'll be much better. The Dolphins are going to be better just because the offense is going to make Tua look good. And he's not going to have to show out and show his arm strength or anything. They're going to be able to rely on a lot of dinks and dunks and misdirections. So I just think that division is going to be really tough. And I believe in the sophomore slump coming from Mac Jones. I really do. I don't always believe in it, but for Mac Jones, it's going to happen. The offensive line is going to be a little shaky. I don't think they have the pieces around him offensively to get to 10 wins. I wouldn't be shocked if they go 7 and 10.
Who are the skill position players? I can't name 2 skill position players on offense for the Patriots. Like, who's there?
Well, James White just retired, so there's that.
Who's the –
They have Tyquan Thornton. They just traded for Devontae Parker in the offseason, so that's one guy. But
who's their running back? Ty Johnson? Or
I don't even know. See,
Breece Hall. Breece Hall.
No, Breece is with the Jets.
I don't even know who's on this team.
What are you talking about? The Steelers?
Nah, Patriots. Like, who's the skill position for? Yeah.
Oh, dang. I don't know nothing about the Patriots.
That's what
I'm saying. I don't know if anybody does. That's why I'm like, who's the running back for the Who's the starting running back for the New England Patriots?
That could be a recipe of them being really good then. Nobody knows nothing.
No. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, and Ty Montgomery.
Damien Harris went to Alabama, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, he's one of those guys that came after the same mold as Derrick Henry. Well, nobody's in the same mold as Derrick Henry, but that train of running backs that kept coming out of Alabama, getting drafted first round. He was one of those dudes. Don't know who they have at wide receiver. Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
Kendrick Bourne from the Niners. They traded for him from last year. They did that.
See, none of those dudes kind of make me like go, oh, okay, yeah, they're putting something together. It feels like they're just filling in spots. Like, who's the offensive coordinator? They never named the offensive coordinator, did they?
I don't think
Belichick is.
So there's no offensive coordinator.
Don't you ask those questions, Desmond. Don't you ask those questions about his coaching?
All we're doing is jinxing it into the Patriots having a 14-3 season and winning every game by 3 points. And I'm just
imagine what that would do if they ended up being really good.
It could happen.
If they went 14-3.
With Mac Jones at quarterback and
they scoring 14 points a game.
Yeah, hold everybody to 10.
Mac Jones finished the year with 2,200 yards passing, 18 touchdowns.
Hey, if he does that, then they need to put a statue up of that dude today and put it up at Foxborough at the front of the thing, like Thomas Davis, or not Thomas Davis, Sam Mills. Have it up at the front gate and just Bill Belichick, and then retire. Bill
Just
Belichick just
retire.
walk away.
Then every team should do a readjustment about their depth chart and who they're paying.
Like, what are we doing? Belichick just went 14-3 with a bunch of 6th-round draft picks. What are we doing out here? That was Schuyler's. Okay, so Stu, Panther one. Head coach Matt Rule will not be on the hot seat at the end of the season. Fact or fiction?
Fact. I mean, I think this is a year, man, where at the end of the day, if people are, gonna, name that hot seat topic week in and week out, and he knows that, so he ain't got nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? I think at the end of the day, like, this is a win-win opportunity for him. You got your QB, you got your health and your running back, you got your receiver talent. I mean, the only thing that's going to hurt us is, I think at this point, is our defense. We just got to make sure we can go in the game, stop the run. Our linebacker core, I feel like, might be the question mark for us. Shaq, Thompson obviously is no question mark, but I think we got two guys that, need to really come to play. I mean, especially given, the Panthers' history at that position. You got a lot to live up to.
Has anybody been watching Hard Knocks? Any other watching this?
I've seen some clips.
There's it's on the Detroit Lions this year, and I could care less about the Detroit Lions, but there was nothing to watch one night, and I was like, you know what, let me just check it out. First of all, I love head coach Dan Campbell. Like, I love him. I don't know why. He makes me want to root for the Detroit Lions. But there's a guy that's I think it was like a 5th round, 6th round pick, the linebacker. His nickname's like Rodrigo or something like that. And every time they show him, it's just him like running into somebody, like hitting somebody hard. Like, he's going to probably start as a rookie, as a 6th round draft choice. He reminds me of Frankie Louvu. That's why I brought all this up. The dude that's been with the Panthers now for the past 2 years, Schuyler? Because he came on last year. I don't even think he was drafted. I think he was an undrafted free agent or something that we brought in, and he just kind of stuck around. And it feels like he's always around the ball. Like, he's always in the middle of it with a hit or something, and it's made him stick. And I'm hoping that he can really help with Shaq, because people forget they last year at the beginning, we went 3-0. McCaffrey was doing his thing. Darnold looked okay. But honestly, the biggest story was Shaq Thompson looked like superhuman the first 3 or 4 games last year.
There.
Yeah, he was everywhere. And then he got hurt, and he never got it back to there. But I remember that first month, Shaq was doing a Luke Kuechly impression out there. He was all over the place. So
Shaq's a player, man. He's a smart player. He's got great instincts. And where he's gotten, obviously time and experience, you just, as a player, you get your confidence, especially, TD, Luke, once they, left, that was an opportunity for him to step into a full role of being a leader and to really form who he is personality-wise as a player, for this team. And I think, having him being healthy, like you said, Frankie Louvu, this is a chance for him, to make a statement. Yeah, you want a job. Now let's go show the world why you want it.
Yeah, so. I agree. And they're giving him the opportunity to do that. So we'll see if Matt Rule. We've never really thought he was on a hot seat, just based off of his comments and demeanor. David Tepper's comments. He signed a 7-year deal. Like, you can't be on a hot seat after a year.
The fan base. Like, once things start hitting Rockies, they're gonna start naming some stuff and saying stuff. But I think at the end of the day, I think we got what it takes.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. We'll get to the Wild Panther predictions here in just a bit. Schuyler, fact or fiction? Cam Newton has played his final NFL game. Fact or fiction?
In a way, I hope it's not the case, but in a way, I kind of hope so, just because I don't know if we're ever going to get the best version of Cam at this point. And I don't want him to go down as some of these other quarterbacks have. And like Eli Manning, I know they're completely different quarterbacks, perfect example is Eli Manning. He's a guy that probably retired 2 to 3 years after he probably should have.
Mm.
And everybody remembers Eli for those last 2 to 3 years, right? No one remembers the two. I mean, they remember the 2 Super Bowls, but they think of his career as declining as he got older and, eventually retired. I don't want Cam to have that same lasting memory. Now, it would be cool because right now, if he were to retire, I mean, yeah, his lasting memory is he's lost his last 14 or 15 starts. So maybe I do want him to get that chance to get on a team that can be on a Super Bowl contender, and maybe he can be a goal line package type of guy or something and gets a ring and goes out on top. Maybe that's what should happen. But as far as what will happen, yeah, I think that's probably his last game. I think he's done. I just don't. I think we would have seen somebody jump at it already.
I was kind of hoping for the player I've always compared Cam to the most is Randall Cunningham, and I always hoped that he'd have a Randall Cunningham ending where, like almost a second shot at it, like the way Cunningham had with the Vikings, where he just basically got parachuted into a perfect situation. You got Randy Moss and Chris Carter on the outside. You got Robert Johnson in the backfield behind you. You got an offensive line. The defense is good. Like literally, they were quarterback away, and Randall gave them the intangibles they didn't have with I think it was Brad Turner or somebody before him. But literally, he was able to just get in there and rejuvenate his career. And I always hope that Cam will get that situation. But looking around the NFL landscape, I don't really see a situation like that for him. And that might be what he's looking at too. And it might be better to just kind of casually fade away off into the distance and,
I will say we are potentially a Baker Mayfield injury away from Cam coming back again.
Oh, Lord. I don't know if they would do that 2 times. Like, I think back to Matt Rule's facial expressions last year when Cam came back. I don't think he was on board with this. I think that was a David Tepper decision. Like, the day they signed him and the news broke on Twitter, the picture that was out there wasn't Matt Rule and Cam Newton. It was a picture of David Tepper and Cam Newton in front of David Tepper's house, like shaking hands or whatever. I think Tepper was like I gotta sell tickets, something. Let's find somebody who's out there. Oh, Cam Newton's out there. Let's bring him in for the next 6 games. I mean, that's, to me, I feel like that was kind of the reasoning for it. But then you saw what Rule did. He just kind of phased him out of the offense by the end of the year. So I don't think Cam would want to come back at this point because of what happened last year. But stranger things have happened. So we will see. Stu, fact or fiction? The Chiefs Super Bowl window has closed. Fact or fiction?
For how long?
I mean, we could do because like the Patriots had like a 4-year window at the beginning, and then they went like a decade before they got the second window. Pat Mahomes is going to be there. They owe the man $400.
I feel like what happened what people saw last year is we took away Patrick Mahomes' security blanket, right? Which is, I'm gonna just throw it deep when I get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so what people said, nah, we'll die by Kelsey getting the ball. And so, which some teams did die by that. And so I think, I won't say, I would say that's fiction. Because I think that, Patrick Mahomes is obviously a talent that, we get the chance to see that no one has seen in the past and whatnot. And I think that if he can fine tune, his development and progression, like going through the progression and just, being fundamentally sound there, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of guys like him, if there's a 1-2 progression that you're supposed to dial in on, but you feel like you can, fit a pass in, in deep posts when you're not supposed to, but because you have the arm talent to do so, you do it. I think that window of opportunity is getting slim. So I think teams are getting smarter. They're playing, different ball now. And if he can, develop the patience to go through his progressions, I think they will be right back at it.
I was late to the Pat Mahomes party. Like, I didn't believe that he was doing some stuff he was doing. Like, my mind refused to like wrap around. Oh, this dude's doing behind the back passes or whatever in a pro game, like on a Sunday. Like, what in the world is going on? It's all flash. It's all flash. The Super Bowl he won, I was like, okay, I understand. He's legit.
Yeah.
But that Super Bowl that he lost, where Tampa was just like in his pocket like the whole night, kind of showed me some things. There's some limitations to Pat Mahomes. Although I gotta admit, there was some throws in that game where he was still hitting dudes right in the numbers, and they were just dropping.
Oh yeah, just dropping them. Yeah,
like throwing parallel to the ground as like two defenders are trying to tackle him, and he's still hitting dudes in the chest. So Pat Mahomes, man, he's legit. He's legit. Let's move on. Panthers Browns 1:00 p.m. this Sunday, opening week for both teams. Opening home game for the Carolina Panthers. What I wanted to do, because at this point everybody's 0-0, everybody all has Super Bowl aspirations, everyone's all got an idea, but none of us have truly seen the starters, the ones playing against each other yet. So it's kind of hard to really predict, like, you know, what's going to happen. But what I wanted to do was have everybody pick a player you're going to keep your eye on week one, in terms of who's the player you want to see the most after everything that's happened in the offseason, all the transactions, the draft, free agency, everything else, Baker coming in. Who's the player that you're looking forward to seeing the most this Sunday? And it can be Panthers or Browns. Stu, let's start with you. Who's the player in your mind, first top of mind, that you're ready to kind of see how they're going to be week one?
Can I give two players?
Sure.
All right. Both of these players are on defense, and it's Brian Burns and Shaq Thompson. You know, what I would like to see from Shaq is just him, you know, doing what he does best, which is what we saw him in the beginning of the season doing, which is flying to the ball, being everywhere. If I see that, that means, you know, the defensive coordinator, the whole schematics and everything that they're doing is letting Shaq be Shaq. And that's what I want to see. I want to see him be free and play free. Brian Burns, we know he's going to pass rush. We know he's going to get up the field. But what we need for Brian Burns is to show his presence in the running game. In order for us to win this game, we're going to have to stop the run. So those two guys, to me, can lead that. So,
Schuyler, who's the one player that you're looking for on Sunday, or that you're interested in? And you've been like at the training camps, you've gone to all this stuff, so you've got a chance to see some guys that many people in the mainstream may not even know about. Who's out there that you're looking at to hope make an impression on Sunday against the Browns?
I'm going to do what Jay Stu did too. I'm going to have two players.
All right, fine.
I really have like four in my mind, but I'm going to go with Ike Ekwonu first, because this is a huge challenge for him. I mean, he's got arguably one of the best pass rushers, if not the best pass rusher in the NFL for your first game in Myles Garrett. Welcome to the NFL to Ike.
Good luck, buddy.
I don't know what they're going to be able to do to help him. I mean, I know they can do some different things. They can slide protection certain ways and give him some tight end help, fullback help. But like Matt Rule said, they're not going to be able to help him all game. Like, it's just impossible. He's going to have to be one-on-one on an island with him on the majority of the snaps. So
he's got to be prayed up, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. we better see.
The good thing is he's been practicing with Brian Burns, like, you know, a lot apparently. So it's not like he's been going up against somebody lesser than, you know.
That is true, but I think they're two different style pass rushers, and I think Burns is more of the athletic, twitchy guy that can beat you kind of with his finesse, where Garrett can do that and just straight out muscle you. And I think that's the thing that, you know, and plus Myles Garrett too, I'm not saying Brian Burge doesn't have this because he does. He's obviously had a lot of success doing it. But Myles Garrett has so many ways of beating you that I think for even a veteran offensive tackle, you're sitting here thinking, what the hell? Like, I thought I just figured out all of his dang moves, and then he's going to bust out another one. I think the biggest thing for Icky is just letting a bad play go. You can't let this get to 2, 3, 4 bad plays, get it in your head. Now you're having pre-snap penalties with false starts and all that stuff. He's just got to play within himself. So Icky would be my first one. My second one, oh man, I had 3 other guys in my head. So I'll narrow it down to I'll just talk about him. Baker. All right. I was going to talk about Christian or J.C. Horn, but I'll go Baker. How much does this game get into his head? Because we can sit here and talk about, oh, it's just another game. He can sit there and say that all he wants, but we all know it's more than just a week 1 game. It's just another game. And
I expect feisty Baker Mayfield. Like, we haven't really seen feisty Baker yet. I kind of expect to see that on Sunday.
But here's the thing. It's not just the feistiness, like after the play and all that stuff. It's also during the play. Like, is he going to start doing stuff out of the norm to try and impress or put up big numbers? Is he going to try and take shots downfield where he probably doesn't have a guy open, but what the hell, we're going to take a chance anyway? Or is he going to be smart and just let things come to him and not try to press? That's the biggest thing I think for him that he's got to kind of keep.
Yeah, if he can keep his composure and just trust what he's learned in the offense, he's got weapons around him. He's got, I wouldn't say it's a better offensive line than what he had in Cleveland. A lot of people consider the Cleveland offensive line the best offensive line in football. So he's coming from that. But, I mean, it's not like our line is the same line that we trotted out there last year. It is markedly improved. So it's going to be interesting. Plus, again, he's going to – one of the guys that I have – I'm glad that neither one of y'all said it because I have Christian McCaffrey. And since everybody's picking 2, I'm going to throw J.C. Horn in there too. McCaffrey, of course – we have not seen this guy really play in 2 seasons. I feel like it's kind of unfair to rate Matt Rule's job as a head coach when he has not had his biggest weapon in his bag available to him for the majority of the time he's been here. I think he's only played 10 games total in the past 2 years, which can be a gift and a curse. I'm hoping it's a gift, meaning that he's refreshed and feels, great. And by all accounts, he said so. Matt Rule said so. So he's in the best shape of his life. So I know he spoke to Marshall Faulk earlier on in the offseason to get some tips on what to do. It looks like he's kind of toned back from the whole, Hulk Hogan lifting weights all off-season thing that he was doing, where he's showing up to off-season training camp with tree trunk like legs and stuff. Seems like he's backed off that a little bit. I think Marshall Faulk talked to him a little bit about flexibility being the key and that kind of thing as he gets older. If you ever saw Marshall Faulk with his shirt off, you wouldn't think he was an NFL player, but he's one of my favorite running backs of all time. And he's similar. I think McCaffrey reminds me of Marshall Faulk more than any other running back that I can think of in my life. So to get advice from him, if they have McCaffrey, this is a completely different outlook for this team. I completely understand the national media basically going, oh, Panthers, nothing. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. But they're all assuming Christian McCaffrey's not going to play the whole season. I have to assume he's going to play the majority of the season. And if he's there and healthy, he's a top 3 player in the league to me. I mean, there's only 1 or 2 running backs that even do what he does. He runs routes better than most wide receivers. Like, they paid him like he's a wide receiver / running back. So he's the real deal. If he's out there, it's going to make Baker Mayfield's job easier. It's going to make the wide receiver's job easier. I don't think it's far-fetched to think that, the whole thing runs through McCaffrey. So I need to see him and see how he looks, see how he takes some contact, see how fast he springs up. That just the little things. I just need to see him because we didn't see him in the preseason. So and then J.C. Horn. We only saw 3 games of J.C. Horn last year. First-round pick for the Panthers, cornerback. He looked like he had the makings to be a shutdown corner. And if you've got one of those in your defense, like a Darrell Revis type player that can just take a whole side of a defense, like the field out, that does wonders for your defense. And this defense was 2nd overall behind the Bills in yards allowed last year. So, I mean, the secondary is the strongest position group to me of this entire team. They've got dudes back in the secondary, and they added dudes. And with JC coming in, it's almost like getting a second first-round pick this year. By all accounts, everybody's saying he's looking good. Him and Dante Jackson at the cornerback positions, that's pretty strong in my eyes in terms of, being able to defend whoever you're going to come across, especially in the NFC South. It's going to be pretty pass happy. So I'm going to go with Christian McCaffrey and JC Horn. Schuyler picked Ickey and Baker. Stu picked Brian Burns and Shaq Thompson. So we'll see how these guys do on Sunday. Panthers Browns 1 p.m. Sunday. I cannot wait. Before we get out of here, we promised wild Panther predictions for the season, and we'll just do it roundtable style. I'm almost afraid to go last. I'm afraid someone's going to take mine, but I'm going to go last. So we're going to start off with Stu. We had a week to sit on this. We knew we were going to do this. So we have not discussed our predictions with each other. So I have no idea what these two are going to say in terms of Panther predictions. Stu, hit me with your first one. Wild Panther prediction for 2022 NFL season.
See you in the playoffs.
Ooh, I love it. I love it. That's the vein I'm in.
The playoffs.
Okay, so Panthers hitting the playoffs this year. I love it. Schuyler, what you got, man? Hit me up with one of your Wild Panther predictions. 2022 year.
All right, so this is I kind of already threw this out there a couple of times. I think maybe on here, I'm not sure, but I'm going JC Horn, Defensive Player of the Year in the NFL. I think he leads the NFL in interceptions because everyone's going to look at Dante Jackson and say, nope, we're not trying that way. We're not trying towards CJ Henderson. They're going to try and pick on JC, and it's not going to work, and teams are going to take way too long to adjust to it.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. I like the logic behind. I like all that.
Yeah,
that would be nice. I've caught some flack from people already know my first prediction because I did it like a month ago on here, and then we've mentioned it here and there. And the charity strike from Bleav, they heard this apparently and made a video of it where basically they're saying the Panthers would not do this, and if they were able to do even just a smaller amount of this, that they would let Jonathan Stewart truck stick one of their hosts, which of course we're going to try to set that up. We're going to set that up, put it on video. I don't know if they got to wear pads or what, but we will figure it out. I think they were joking, but I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, let's do that. That'll be fun. Good content.
Let them hate.
The Carolina Panthers not only will go 11-6, which is what I predicted. I predicted that before they landed Baker Mayfield. I just had a good feeling they were going to get him.
Yeah,
11-6. 11-6 wins the NFC South. The Carolina Panthers are going to win the NFC South. I don't trust what's happening in Tampa. There's no one in front of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's thinking about his wife behind the center right now, so his mind's all over the place. Atlanta's a dumpster fire. No one's ever trusted Marcus Mariota. Kyle Pitts can't throw it to himself. They don't have a defense, so I'm not worried about.
Be careful how you speak on Marcus's name now. You know, he went to Oregon.
I know he went to Oregon. I know.
Yeah, we can say other things about him, though.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my
I don't trust
that's my duck right there.
I don't trust Marcus to lead this Atlanta team to anything more than a couple wins. Okay, yeah. and then the Saints. The Saints have a dude that's won 8 games for his career as the head coach of this team, and everyone's picking them, and I'm just like, why? Like you're not going to have Alvin Kamara. I think he's going to be suspended if I'm not mistaken, right? And he about to serve a suspension for the beginning of the year. He did something.
He did, but
I think they pushed it back.
They pushed it back, and then the wide receiver, he didn't play at all last year. He was their number 1 receiver. What's Thomas? He's still hurt or something too. Something's going on with him. They lost their left tackle to injury, and I did see he might be back November or something like that. But he's got to have surgery, so he's going to be gone the first 2/3 of the year. Jameis Winston is still your quarterback. Like until Jameis proves otherwise, I have to assume if he threw a touchdown, an interception is coming. Like. If he interception, a touchdown is coming. Like I have to assume it goes back and forth, no matter what team he's on. He was kind of like that at Florida State. So I mean, you are what you are. I don't trust any of the other 3 teams in the NFC South, and I like what Carolina did. I think Carolina had the best offseason out of all the other 3 teams in the NFC South in terms of what they did in the draft and everything else. So Panthers go 11-6 and win the NFC South. let's go one more time around. You got another wild prediction for the Panthers, Stu? You already got them in the playoffs, so
yeah, got him in the playoffs. Yeah, I'm gonna say.
I feel like I see the wheels turning.
Well, I'll say this: Baker Mayfield. Top five. This is gonna be Baker's year. I'm telling you, like he got the recipe. You know what I'm saying? He got Christian McCaffrey. If you a quarterback that's gotten into this situation that he's in, all you got to do is go through your progressions. If the offensive coordinator calling the wrong play, he calling the wrong play. You go through your progressions. Don't force nothing. Take what the defense is giving you, and make the offensive coordinator think. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go through this season like that, you'll find yourself being a top 5 quarterback, because that's how Tom Brady plays. He goes through the progressions. Boom. Well, call a different play. if you want that first read to be a first down, you better call something for that to be a first down.
Ben McAdoo's a good caller too. Like,
great
caller.
Enough
credit. Yeah, he's worked with some of the top. We talked about Eli Manning earlier in this show. I mean, Eli's best years were with Ben McAdoo. And I think Baker's had, I think, 3 offensive coordinators in his first 4 years of playing professional football, and I think this is the first stable situation he's been. I mean, he came from Cleveland. Like, this is the most stable he's probably had it, and he's used to learning a playbook pretty much every offseason. So it kind of just slid right in. Just don't turn the ball over. I like the Jake Delhomme kind of, I'm going to squeeze it in there type of mentality he has, but that also bit Jake a lot, especially at the end. So just don't turn it over and let your skill position players get in the open space and do their thing. But
this is a big year for him, man. So I think he knows that he's got to go out there and make his way for another contract. And he's got the players around him healthy. Like, you got Christian, you got DJ, Robbie Anderson. I feel like he's going to come on board, be that deep threat. And then, you got other weapons that we just added along just in the past week or so. So the depth is there for the season for whatever he needs.
And Schuyler, you were talking right before we went on the air. We didn't get a chance to mention the transaction the Panthers had last week, right when we got off, making a deal for the Jaguars wide receiver. How do you pronounce his name? Chenault?
Yeah, Laviska Shenault.
What, real quick, can you give us any idea what to expect from him? Because I was kind of surprised they traded for a wide receiver, but it sounds like he can be more of a kind of the way they were using Curtis Samuel 2 years ago, kind of like a flanker. It's like almost like a wide receiver / running back. He might get the handoff. He might go run a wheel route or something out of the backfield. Sounds like they want to use him kind of like that a little bit.
Yeah, very similar. Probably not so much early on. I think they want to minimize what they're throwing at him, just because everyone's been saying it all off season long. Ben McAdoo's offense is pretty tough to learn. So they want to get him acclimated as a receiver first, and then probably as the season goes on, as they want to start washing Christian's touches, he's going to get more involved maybe as a running back. But it kind of leads me into my second wild prediction here, because I was going to go with something really crazy that would tick the fans off, but I don't want to do that today.
Oh, come on,
make them mad. Make them mad. Give us both of these.
Yeah.
Give us the one that's going to tick them off. Give us the one that's going to make everybody happy.
This is going to be the soundbite right here. What you got?
I was going to say, if we go off of Jay Stu's prediction of the Panthers making the playoffs, David Tepper gets excited and gives Matt Rule a 2-year extension on top of already what he got.
Oh my God.
But I don't want to get too wild on here. So
what made you even think of that one? You just just being a butthole for that.
He would get a 2-year extension. He'd have 4 years left, wouldn't he? Like at the end of this year. So it would give him another 6. Man, you talk about heads exploding.
I mean, if we out there balling and making moves like that, shoot.
Hey,
ain't no telling.
Yeah,
Go ahead, give him the bag. Drop
Tepper
that bag off the
seems
front porch.
Tepper
I'll
seems
deliver it.
uptight.
I'll deliver the bag. Tepper, I'll deliver the bag if we get to the playoffs and we popping off like that.
I mean, like I've always told people ever since he bought the franchise, I'm like, look, billionaires don't happen overnight. Billionaires build this over time. They have infinite patience. They are not people that make quick decisions. Like they think this out. So Tepper probably would be the one that would do something like that. You know, say Matt Rule leads them to the NFC Championship game or something. He's like, hey, here's another 2 years. I'm gonna throw that on there with an extra, $40 million in the back end or what. I could actually see that happening. So I don't know how wild that is, but you just made a lot of Panther fans angry as hell.
Well, maybe not even angry, more just kind of like
confusion. Like, what
could that happen?
Like smoke coming out of the air. Like, what?
Wild, but my more realistic wild prediction is that Terrace Marshall gets traded before the trade deadline because of Laviska Shenault coming on. Shi Smith is going to be more productive. I think they really like Rashard Higgins a lot. DJ, Lord knows what the heck they're going to get out of Robbie Anderson, but I just think Terrace is kind of that odd man out. So yeah, I think Terrace gets traded.
Yeah, it feels like Terrace got drafted because of Joe Brady, and Joe Brady's no longer here. So,
and his name did get mentioned in trade talks last week. I'll just say that.
Matt Rule has mentioned Matt Rule's done the whole coach, we need to see him play type thing to the media a couple times, which made me raise my eyebrows. Because if he's getting mentioned like that, that means that they're already talking, okay, what are we going to do with Terrace Marshall? Because he's not on the field. He's not playing. We got these other guys that are fighting for roster spots. He didn't really play much of the end of the year last year. How much do we really need this guy? We got him for Joe to begin with. Joe's not even here. I agree. He could be. Now, what was he, a second-round pick last year? Is that right? At LSU, off of that record-breaking LSU offense led by Joe Burrow, the national championship squad. Somebody could use him. I wouldn't mind getting some.
Schuyler, you saying he gone, huh?
Yeah, I think he's gone. I don't know where, but you got to think too. Panthers are trying to get some of those draft picks back,
right?
So I don't know if they can get him for a second, but they may be able to get a fourth or a fifth out of it.
Hey, go talk to Bill Belichick. He likes to trade them things in and out. So, and Lord knows he needs a wide receiver because we couldn't name one just a minute ago. So maybe he goes out to Terrace Marshall. I'll finish this out here, and I'll finish it off with our boy Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey will be a top 3 MVP candidate this year. If he's playing the whole season and doing Christian McCaffrey type stuff, yeah, he'll be in the running for MVP. If he's in the running for MVP, I don't see how them going 11-6 would be a shock, or winning the division would be a shock, or going to the playoffs would be a shock. Like if you have an MVP candidate on your team, you're not a losing team. Like I can't even think of an MVP candidate on a team that was a losing team. Now I'm sitting there thinking about it. So if that's the case, that means the Panthers are having a fantastic season. And I feel it. I'm all in.
Man. That's good vibes right there.
Yeah. I'm just all in on CMC this year. I just feel like I've had to defend him for 2 years to non-Panther fans that all of a sudden are coming out saying he's injury prone and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, he never had an injury really until 2 years ago, like including high school.
Let's let's talk about that, because what gets under my skin is when cats say, "Oh man, he's a good player when he's healthy."
Yeah. What?
You
went through a little bit of that, didn't you? Because you had
injuries happen. Like, let's just get rid of the last part. Just say he's a good player. He's a great player. Boom. Don't talk about if he's healthy, if he's like whatever. Like, don't label Christian McCaffrey for the rest of this year. Anyone under the sound of my voice, don't say Christian McCaffrey is a good player when he's healthy. Just say he's a good player. He's a great player. And I'm tired of hearing this whole healthy, non-healthy. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. And if you don't know, you're ignorant.
People acting like they're doctors and nurses and stuff. It's like, dude didn't break any bones. He didn't tear any ligaments. He didn't have to have surgery or anything like that. And another thing, too, that people aren't remembering, that first year, and I think part of last year too, he could have came back at the end of the year, and they held him out because they were out of playoff contention. It wasn't like he couldn't play for 8 straight games. He could have came back after 5, but at that point, what was the point of putting more, mileage on the tires if they're not going to be in playoff contention and you just gave him an extension? You know what I mean? Like, it didn't make any sense. And all the fans have forgotten that. They're just like, oh, well, he didn't play. He didn't play this many games this year. He didn't play that many games last year. Yeah. If he's done all the due diligent work that he's claimed he's done and he's in the best shape of his life, I have zero reason to believe that Christian McCaffrey won't be talked about. I expect them to talk about Christian McCaffrey Monday, to be honest. I really expect them to have a good game against the Browns. They're going to lean on him a lot. So from this episode, we have learned the Panthers are going to win double digits, apparently. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to have an MVP candidate, McCaffrey. Baker Mayfield's going to have a career year. Players to watch, and then our Fact or Fiction came out with some pretty good stuff. I think we're good to go.
Good, man.
We'll be back next week, hopefully celebrating a Panther victory Monday. We'll get into all that. We'll look at maybe some of the other games of interest around the NFL from this upcoming week as well. A lot of pretty good matchups that'll be on the slate. But, of course, we're your home for Panthers news and notes, so we'll give you everything you need. Aftermath, Panthers and Browns, early next week. I think Monday, we were trying to shoot for, but we'll give you an update on that on Twitter. So for Jonathan Stewart, for Schuyler Callihan, I'm Desmond Johnson. Make sure you follow Bleav on Twitter at Bleav or Bleav Sports. You can catch us and the other 32 NFL podcasts, one for each team from Bleav. You can hear us on the SiriusXM app at any time. So definitely check it out there. And we'll see you next week. Keep pounding.